Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. So, just had Thanksgiving here in Canada. I had a great Thanksgiving. I actually had to drive up to Edmonton. So I went and hung out with my cuz and her boys and my kiddos. And I went for a work thing. I went to go do a meet and greet at one of the larger property management firms out in Edmonton, the local ones. So you've got your great big ones that are kind of all over the place, the States and Mexico and everywhere and all over Canada. And then you've got ones that are just locally homegrown. And this one's done really well. And so I went to go meet with all of their property managers and give a little blurb about me. So it's so funny because I'm always kind of like a wing it person. And even though like I'll like talk to myself in the truck, like on my way up, and my kids are like, "Are you talking to yourself?" And I'm like, "Put your headphones in, don't worry about what I'm doing." And I'll do the run through of what I kind of want to talk about because I've only got like a certain amount of time. I got to meet other trades in there and other people to network inside of the condo industry, which was great. So I had a great time. And then I came home early because, I'm in Alberta and the weather can change on a dime. And I was paying attention to the forecast. And I'm like, okay, they're calling for snow, which is the first snow. So there's two first snows in Alberta. And if you know, you know. So I will explain to the rest of you that don't understand. So Alberta will have the first snowfall and then they have a snow event. So the first snowfall means that snow is coming down. The weather is colder. We're like 0, -3, maybe up to -8. I'm not going to convert that into American. So that is Celsius. It's not Fahrenheit. And then we have an event where you wake up the next morning and everything is covered. The snow is now sticking and everything is covered. We're talking like anywhere from half a foot to a foot or more of snow. And I don't drive that day. So when I wake up the morning where it was like a little bit cold or it was cool, like minus, I don't know, like let's say it's -10, but there's no snow on the ground. And all of a sudden I wake up the next morning and I know that I'm going to be out shoveling my driveway because it's ridiculous. I don't drive that day. I will cancel appointments because that is the day where there's like 240 accidents. Like any particular position on the highway between like Airdrie and all over Calgary. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm just, I'm going to hang out. Kids are like, "Do we got to go to school today?" I'm like, yeah, it's not, if it's like -12, I'm like, yeah, dress for the weather and walk. It's like 7 minutes. Like, bye. So my kids are so spoiled. Us kids, like the kids nowadays are spoiled. I remember if it was me and it was like -20, my parents were like, "Get your gloves on, get your scarf on, let's go, get out." You're going to school. You're going to catch a bus. So, our kids are so super spoiled. Nowadays, they're like, "Can you drive me?" I'm like, "No. How about you drive yourself?" "Oh yeah, right. You're 14. But, so I checked the weather forecast and I was like, okay, it's going to snow. So the first snowfall is where people just slide off the highway. Why? Because no one's changed their winter, no one's changed their winter tires. A lot of people have summer tires. This is still summer tire weather to people. So, and of course, because it's a long weekend for us, people are traveling. So it's like, oh yeah, I don't need to worry about it. There might be a little precipitation, a little sleet. Tires are okay for that. Not this weekend. There were I was watching the roads. So I came back early. Where it was still very nice weather. I came back on the Friday. I left on the Wednesday. I came back on the Friday. And then the kids got to do their thing. And then my neighbors had me over for dinner. So thank you to them. They're so wonderful. And I actually went to go say hi and happy Thanksgiving and have a quick little beverage with them. And then it turned into, "You're staying for dinner, right?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Well, we would have invited you had we known that you were going to be home, but you weren't supposed to be home." And I was like, okay, then. Not a big turkey person, but there's like 500 other things to eat other than just turkey, right? So, but yeah, so I got home and I basically did nothing this weekend. So for those of you who actually do stuff, I love, this is going to sound horrible. I love not having the big family hoopla. I love it. It's like I can just sit at home. I'll bring stuff. If my kids said to me, "Mom, I want to have a great big Thanksgiving turkey dinner. I want Nana to come. I want the neighbors to come. I want to invite my people, blah, blah, blah," I would do it. Why? Because it's about my kids. My kids are like, "I don't really care." I'm like, great. Me neither. So I sat on my couch and like doom scrolled and like watched movies. And like how unfortunate, one of my favorite actresses, a true trailblazer and icon, Diane Keaton, passed away. And I was so sad. And there's so many movies of hers that I love. So I like binge watched some Diane Keaton movies this weekend. So there's a few that are my favorite. I love The Family Stone. I actually watch it every Christmas season. It's one of my favorites of her. I also like Something's Gotta Give, Annie Hall, The Other Sister. There's like so many of them. She's like, do you know what I didn't know? Because I never watched them. I never watched The Godfather. Like I grew up with Italians, so I felt like I was in The Godfather movie. Just kidding. So no, I never watched like The Godfather all the way through. And it's like a staple for most people. But I grew up around so many Italians that I was like, meh. It wasn't a thing for me. Like, did I watch Scarface? Sure. I like the Italian movies that are more about the culture and less about the mafia. So that's kind of my thing. Let's see here. Sorry, my calendar's like screaming at me. It's like, you're supposed to be doing something. Yeah, I know. I'm busy. I'm doing it right now. Because I have a busy alert. So it like alerts me. It's like, you're busy right now. I'm like, no shit. So thanks, tips. So anyways, I started doom scrolling after I watched my Diane Keaton stuff. And then, because I saw that she was in The Godfather. So then, and it's like, I swear to you, it's like your phone knows. You don't even have to say The Godfather, because I wasn't talking about any of it. I was just, I texted a couple of things, but of course your phone pays attention to everything you're doing. So then all of a sudden it starts pulling all these in comics. And ones that I normally watch, I find them really funny. So one is Anthony Rudia. He's really funny. And then Sebastian, I'm going to like butcher his last name. I think it's pronounced Mansicalo. I think that's, anyway, he knows his fucking name. He's funny and he's in a few movies and I find him hilarious. I was watching some of their comedic skits and they're so funny and it cracks me up because if you grew up around Italians or you are Italian and you were immersed in their culture, you can't help but just laugh your ass off when they're talking about how things are, right? Like how their dads are. And and I'm not even going to lie, like I probably sent like 17 reels to my best friend who's Italian because I'm like, accurate. And it's like, but then she's like some of the old school Italians, like her mom and stuff, like she's funny. So it's like, you ever like go in and if you're an Italian mother and you're teaching your like in-law, your daughter-in-law or your daughter how to cook, and then they just like push you out of the way and do it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's you. I'm sure she's going to give me the finger for it. I've never seen her teach her daughter. And it was so funny. She makes sauce and I've learned how to make sauce. So my kids have a nonna. Not because I'm Italian, but because when I had my kids, we had a girlfriend that is Italian across the street and she could be my mom. She's old enough to be my mom. So I had my kids out of respect to call her Nonna and she's hilarious. And so she taught me how to make like 4 different types of sauces. And then I had a girlfriend, Patricia, in school who taught me how to make. And so my girlfriend across the street is Albanian. My girlfriend from school is Calabrese. And then my best girlfriend is Abruzzese. And she refuses to teach me how to make her sauce. And I'm like, you bitch. I'm like, come on, everybody loves your sauce. Like my kids are always like, can we go to Zia's? I want to eat pasta, or I want to have a lasagna, or I want to have, because Zia makes the best sauce. And I'm like, listen, Nona makes the best sauce and Nona taught me how to make sauce. And they're like, yeah, and your sauce is great, Mom, but it's not Nona's and it's not Zia's. And I'm like, you little shit. I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, you little shits, like, you basically just said my sauce sucks. And they're like, no, they're like, we like your sauce, but it's not the same. And I'm like, I get it. But my girlfriend refuses to teach me how to make sauce. I'm like, are you going to teach your daughter? And she's like, probably not. And I'm like, what the fuck? So your recipe is going to die with you? And she's like, yes, the Italian culture is fucking strong in you. She just laughs and she's like, well, whatever. She's like, that means I have the best sauce and nobody can make it. And I was like, oh, well. So I love my best friend, but watching these Italian comedians, and then there's this other guy that comes on, and I think his name is like Uncle Joe or something like that. Anyways, and he does all these like Italian hand gestures, and he's like, tell me what these hand gestures mean. And I'm like, here's the thing about Italian hand gestures. It's not it's in the way, like, okay, Italian hand gestures have tone. They do. So when they put their fingers together and they shake their hand, it can mean many things. It can mean like, what are you fucking doing? What are you talking about? What do you mean? It's usually a what question, or it's a fuck off, huh? But the one that like he did was where he like presses his hands together and shakes the two hands together. And I'm like, the only time I've ever seen an Italian do that is it's never a good scenario. It's never like oh, that's so great. I love you. No. That's like Maron. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Like they're praying for you, but in in an angry way. Like, what the fuck? Like, what happened? Like, this fucking guy. And so it always cracks me up because they have tone. So it depends on how fast they do it, how quickly, their facial expression, everything counts in Italian culture. So it cracks me up when I watch these guys, and even some females that talk about Italian. Like there's a female, a comic that I've seen too, and she's really funny. And I don't remember her name off the top of my head. I think it's Tammy something, and she's so funny. But it cracks me up because I was immersed in Italian culture. So it cracks me up to watch all of these things. And any of you that are Italian and any of you that are married to Italians. Oh, and that's the other thing. Like there's another one. There's a gay Italian guy. I think he's half Italian, half Spanish or something like that. I don't remember. Wait, Matteo. And he's funny because he's talking to a girl in his audience about being married to an Italian. And she's like, does the mother-in-law, like, I have a problem with my mother-in-law. And he's like, yeah, no shit, you do. And it cracks me up because it's so funny because it's really true. Like if you marry into the Italian culture and you're not Italian yourself, it can be complicated. So you got to learn the Italian culture real quick and what they review as respect, what they regard as respectful. Now, if you're Italian, and then it gets even more complicated because if you're Italian, you know damn well that you might not be accepted. You're going to butt heads with mom and the sisters. Then it also depends what kind of Italian you are. Are you Calabrese marrying an Abruzzese? An Albanian? Like, what are you marrying into? Like, what part of Italy are you marrying into? Because that also matters because they're different. So I always find it funny to watch all of those things when they talk about all of it. And then Sebastian and I'm pretty sure Anthony talked about it too. I know most Italians will talk about the Italian wedding and how they bring cash. And it's true because I've been to Italian weddings and they bring cash and the old school Italians 100% do exactly what Sebastian says in his skit. And he talks about it. He's like, the chicken was dry. They got $100. 100% they do that shit. 100%. Or if you give them not enough money, they'll write it in their fucking book because then when they go to your wedding, they're going to pay attention to what you gave. 100%. Italians can be so petty. And they're like that. They're like, listen, you only give me fucking $50. You're only going to get 30. How about that? Hey, fuck you. And so that's the way they are. And it fucking cracks me right up. I'm like, I'm here for this. I'm so here for it. So anyways, that's what I did over the weekend. And while I was doing that, I was also, a lot of my cultural stuff came in and I thought that was hilarious. So, cause I'm Caribbean. So in Caribbean culture, and I'm going to tell you the ethnicities are very similar across the board. Okay. Let's just start there. We are all very similar. We all will smack our children, throw shit at our children if they're talking out of line, if they're being disrespectful, if they're mouthy. There's zero tolerance for that. And when I say like ethnic people have zero tolerance, they have zero tolerance. Unless, of course, in some cultures more so than others, the boys are more highly regarded and they get away with a lot more shit. Like I find that a lot in like a lot in Spanish culture and in Indian culture. When I say Indian, I mean like East Indian. I find that a lot in their cultures where their boys get away with a lot more than their girls. Same with like, I guess Asian cultures, because a lot of Asians regard their boys higher. So they can get away with a lot more shit. I don't like my boy and my girl, but then I'm also I'm Canadian. I respect the cultures around me and the fact that my dad was Caribbean because he's not with us anymore. So he's gone, but my dad was Caribbean and so I'm half, and so I got to listen to him speak. My dad spoke a lot of dialects. It was almost like he mimicked, like especially the British like accent. I couldn't even think of the word there for a minute. He would mimic the British accent. He was British. He was from British Guyana, so I always find it rather interesting that he did that. And then he spoke Caribbean. So whenever I was around my dad, like when my dad would get mad, his Caribbean would come out in full force. So, and it is a patois. So it cracks me up because there are certain things, like I'll be sitting next to my significant or my kids because they don't hear a lot of the Caribbean dialect. And so I'll be listening and I will just burst out laughing. And they're like, you understood that? And I'm like, oh yeah, you listen to your Caribbean father. And even my brother and I, we weren't immersed in Caribbean culture, but like we were and we weren't. Like we didn't have our uncles and aunts and our cousins and our grandparents. My grandparents were passed when we were born, but we didn't have all of them around us listening to the dialect all the time, but we sure did have our father, and we sure did eat Caribbean, and we sure did, we were around and immersed in Caribbean culture when like Carrie Fest came, or when we were going to my dad's cricket meets and shit like that. But I mean, for the most part, we grew up kind of like just with our mom and dad. Like my mom's family was in Quebec. My dad's family is in Toronto. I know, shock, right? All the Caribbeans are in Toronto. I know. So, but it is what it is. And so it's always funny to me, like when I listen and then people are trying to like tell you how to enunciate in Caribbean, like mi fada. And I'm like, it's accurate. That's how they say it. Muma is mom. So they'll say, some people will say mi muda or mi mara, and we say muma. So that's how we say it in Guyanese. But we do have other languages inside of our Caribbean culture, which is fun. Like Pikni, I think I want to say Swahili. Pikni, kids, alu. And if you talk to other people from India, they'll use the word alu, which is potato. So we use a lot of we're just going to pick and choose different parts of each language and then just slap on our patois on it and call it a day. But it's funny, if you ever listen to a Caribbean person get mad and they speak really fast in their patois, if you don't speak patois or you've never heard it consistently, you will understand nothing. Nothing. I'm going to tell you that I understand 80% of it. Okay? 80%. So 20%, I'm like lost. I'm like, what the fuck did he just say? But 80%, I understand exactly what's going on. So, which is good, because if it wasn't that, I'd probably be in trouble. So there's that. So that's kind of what I did over the weekend, is I just watched really funny skits of like my culture, just Caribbean, and then the Italian culture, which is what I grew up around and was immersed in as well. So always find it funny. Now, with that being said, we had Thanksgiving. I hope everybody's thankful for what's going on around the globe. Dun, dun, dun. So this Thanksgiving in Canada, I know I'm thankful for my health, my children, roof over my head, the things that I can control at this particular moment. I am not thankful for I'm very upset about what else is going on in the world, and things that we don't hear about, things that have gone on in Alaska, things that are going on in the US, things that have gone on in the UK, things that have gone on, in Gaza, things that right here in my own backyard in Alberta. I'm upset. And so I needed a brain break, because it is so fucking overwhelming to see, especially when you're someone who wants to keep up to date on current events, not just in your own backyard. Because, you always get those people that are like, I don't want to help anybody else. I want to protect our own backyard. Yes, but here's what I know. Okay. If I help my neighbor, let's say we're just gonna, let's play in hypothetical land. My significant loves when I do this. He doesn't, he fucking hates it. So every man fucking hates it when their spouse or partner are like, let's play in hypothetical land, shall we? And they're like, fuck, here we go. So anyways, let's play in hypothetical land, because that's what we're going to do today. Well, I have $50. Okay. Now I know this $50 needs to go to a few things that I need. That I need. And my neighbor comes to me and they need it more. Okay. Now, my own backyard would be looking out for number one. Okay. My neighbor is like Gaza. Okay. They don't need it. They can figure it out. They make their own money. They can figure it out. But I say to myself, my neighbor needs it more than me. And I give them the $50 and I go without. And it's not going to make or break me, but it's going to hurt a little bit. Okay. We're just talking about $50. We're playing in hypothetical land. It's not true. But let's just say, okay? And what happens, because I've seen this happen time and time again, where my neighbors needed something, I've needed something, and we've helped each other even in times where we didn't have that much more, where we could have actually really helped them, but we decided that we were going to help our neighbor. And so now I'm in trouble. And I say, hey, I'm in trouble and I need you. And my neighbor goes, no problem, I got you. And that's how I look at it. Okay. So, when people talk about their own backyard, yes, it's good to pay attention to your own backyard. Yes, it's good to stay up on current events and support. We need to support our teachers. We need to support our healthcare workers. We need to support Canada Post. We need to support our children. We need to, kick our government in the ass. Sounds great. Great. With that being said, what we have right now, there is worse. And if somebody else needs it a little bit more, I can guarantee you that the people like the teachers or the postal workers or the healthcare workers are the ones that are reaching out to help other people. They're putting into the Red Cross. They're putting into the children's foundations. They're the ones that are giving when they really shouldn't fucking be giving because they're not getting anymore. But they're the ones that are thinking about it. Not all of them, but quite a few of them, I'm sure, are doing those things that are, like supporting Gaza and supporting, the women's movement that's going on in the States right now, because there is a movement. People that have heard about what happened in Alaska, I believe there's this, I want to say, what's it called? A hurricane, I think, happened in Alaska. A lot of people lost their homes, but because Alaska is an American state, I always thought it belonged to Canada. I'm not gonna lie. For the longest time, it's like I'm just ignorant. Like even as a kid, I was like, didn't we have Alaska? Didn't Alaska belong to us? I swear to God, I colored Alaska. I swear to God, I colored it. I knew it was part of Canada. And everyone's like, no, it's never part of Canada. And I was like, I feel like I'm crazy right now. Like, does anybody else feel fucking crazy? Because I swear to God, Alaska at one point was part of fucking Canada. But I don't know. Anyways, I digress. So, but because it's part of the States and what do they call him over there? Kenkel McTaco Tits is what they call him. At least the ladies on I've Had It, they call him that. They're fucking hilarious. I love them. So Mango Mussolini, as assembled the National Guard in a place where it doesn't need to be. Instead of helping, they like defunded the program to help, their states that fall into catastrophic losses of some sort. They are the catastrophic fucking loss at this point, in my opinion. But regardless, like there's just, and then what's going on in Gaza and what's going on in the UK. And then I heard a bunch of stuff that was going on in the UK and I don't 100% have all the facts on it. And there was some sort of like a terrorist attack of sorts in the UK. It's just, it's so fucking much. You just need to shut down, because when I was doom scrolling, that's all that was coming across my page. What's going on in Chicago, what's going on with women's rights in Texas and in Alaska, and what's going on in Gaza. And, I'm just like, God, sometimes I just sit and I think to myself, there's a lot of people that just need to go to God. They just need to go to God. I mean, they might not make it to him, but they need to go before him to be judged. So, I mean, like, maybe, like when you sit there and you're looking at your defective animal that is dying and you have the ability to send them to God, and you just think to yourself, it's time to go to God. I think that about certain people, like, it's just time to go to God. Like, just lay your head down and just go to God. There's a few of them I think about, and that's just what comes to my fucking head. So, meh, is what it is. But yeah, so sometimes you just need to tune out, and I love going to comedy segments. To tune out changes my algorithm as well. So I get a lot of comedy, and I've been getting a lot of paranormal, and I'm going to be like, I'm really into the paranormal, but I'm not one of those crazy people that watches like scary movies and like the paranormal movies. Like I don't watch that because I'm like too close for comfort. I don't like any of that, especially when I experience it in my everyday life, the paranormal on some level. So I'm just like, good, thanks. But it's coming on my feed, and I'm kind of like, if this is going to be a fucking jump scare. And then I had this, okay, has this ever happened to you guys? You watch something, it's like a paranormal aspect where it's like, so this really scary looking, I'm sure it was AI, guarantee it. Really scary looking older woman comes on, and she's like on the doorbell cam. Okay, not mine, just like on a reel. And she says, your door is unlocked. I can smell the warmth. Let me in. And I'm like, oh, that's a little terrifying. And then she kind of like does some weird thing, like right towards the cam with her mouth. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. It's meant to scare you. And I was just like, oh, that's fucking weird. And then I get up and my fucking door's unlocked, and I'm like, well, gross. So I walk over and lock my door. I'm like, no, That's not okay. Anyways, we're going to move forward with the week, and then we should have somebody else coming on the show this week, which means they will launch next week. So you will hear from them. I believe they're from the States too. So I always love talking to people from the United States because I like to hear, especially when they're female, because I like to hear what's going on from their perspective. You know, and my producer was always like, you should get somebody mega because then you could debate them. And I'm like, I don't have the fucking bandwidth to debate mega. Like these guys and gals that go out there and do that, I'm like, fucking power to you. Love watching you, but I don't have the fucking bandwidth to talk to somebody who's so fucking right wing that they're and that are blatantly admitting to their prejudice and to their racist and fascist ideologies. And then when it fucking impacts them, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, get fucked. So whatever, that's what it is. But I'm excited for her. So I'm not going to talk to her about politics at all. I want to hear about what she does. And apparently she's this really amazing cat that uplifts women and empowers women. And I love women like that. I love bringing them on the show and having the conversation with them. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side next week. As always, have a wonderful week and don't do anything crazy.